Well, we're bringing you breaking news this morning on those John Deere layoffs overnight. The Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Development reported that another round of layoffs is coming to Deere and Company. That's according to the Illinois WorkNet website. Now, this comes ahead of Deere's quarterly earnings call scheduled for this morning at 9 o'clock. And News 8's Joe Habersham is here to break down what we know so far about the layoffs and who they will impact. Joe.
That's right. Good morning. Our newsroom discovered that another round of layoffs are expected to happen. That's again according to the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Development. Now, we are working to find out if these are new cuts or if these are combined with some of the ones from earlier this year. And as far as Iowa Deere employees, the state's warned layoff notification website doesn't list any facilities as being impacted. And new this morning, after reaching out, we received a response from Deere saying that this report is inaccurate. We are now reaching out to the state of Illinois to learn more. And News 8 plans to cover our earnings call in just an hour, and we will plan to provide reactions and responses as that continues to happen. Guys?
Deere announced it will be laying off more of its employees. According to reporting from our Quad Cities sister station, the company informed salaried and hourly workers there will be more job cuts next week. Deere and Company has cut more than 1,300 jobs since the layoffs started. Affected plants include those in the Quad Cities, Dubuque, and Waterloo. The company has cited falling demand and rising costs for some of the layoffs.
No one noticed the exact moment the collapse began, but everyone felt the ground shift beneath them. On the plains of Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, farmers rose before dawn, staring out at their fields stretching like an ocean, sensing deep inside that something was cracking. Interest rates suddenly doubled, profit margins shrank to a thread ready to snap, and trade wars turned every tractor purchase into a dangerous wager.
First of all, thank you for having me on, Deegan and Sean. I appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, look, there's going to be a significant impact to these small towns here around Iowa that have manufacturing facilities for John Deere here. Already this year they've laid almost off 1,000 workers. More cuts are expected at the end of July. And, it's going to be devastating for a lot of these small communities for sure. To make a correction, I wasn't forced to take a retirement. It was an option, contractual option that I decided to exercise. But yeah, after getting my job back and looking at the circumstances, personally for me, I thought the best option was to go ahead and move on.
Quietly, farmers stopped buying. Dealers who once boasted year-long waiting lists now whispered about empty order books and showrooms filled with machines no one could afford. Across the border, the story was the same. In Arkansas and the Midwest, hundreds of farmers gathered in emergency meetings, speaking of rising debt, aging machinery, and evaporating profits, proof that demand hadn't slowed, but vanished, fading like daylight at the end of a hard day. Inside John Deere's boardrooms, the screens told the truth without mercy. 4,500 jobs gone since 2015, more than 1,100 eliminated in Iowa and Illinois last year, hundreds of millions lost to tariffs, and production shifts planned through 2026. When Deere looked at Canada, it didn't see a difficult market, it saw one on life support. Powering a factory in Saskatchewan cost 40% more than in Iowa, Alberta's electrical grid wavered unpredictably, carbon taxes rose every year, permits dragged on for months, and Canadian households were losing nearly $48,000 a year to taxes.
Are the biggest expense for Canadian families. The Fraser Institute report points out that the average family in Canada spent about $48,000 in total taxes last year. The report also says Canadian families spent more on taxes than on housing, food, and clothing combined,
crushing purchasing power and suffocating industry. Even Parliament's attempt to protect farmers through right-to-repair legislation turned into a new fracture, one Deere read as an attack on the very heart of its software-based business model. Out in the fields, anger simmered. Parts disappeared, harvest machines broke down at the worst possible moments, and farmers stood helpless in front of equipment they couldn't fix. When foreign competitors, from China to Europe to South Korea, even BYD, arrived with stocked inventory and immediate delivery, it wasn't about brand competition anymore. It was about survival. Then came the breaking point. Deere announced it was moving operations south, and Ottawa erupted. Prime Minister Mark Carney, already preparing $25 billion in public service cuts that would erase 24,000 jobs in the capital, wasn't ready for the blow. He blamed global markets, but farmers and provincial leaders saw the truth clearly: soaring energy costs, punishing taxes, regulatory gridlock, and a painfully slow response to trade shocks. Meanwhile, American governors moved with quiet precision, treating John Deere as strategic infrastructure and folding it into a 20-year plan for robotic farming, automation, and food security technology. With more than $20 billion pouring into new U.S. manufacturing, Deere's message was unmistakable: it wasn't rebalancing capacity, it was escaping, quietly and permanently. Today, the consequences echo across every rural highway and every small-town shop: thousands of jobs gone, equipment prices rising, parts pipelines slowing, dealerships shrinking or shuttering, and the rural supply chain, repair shops, transport firms, service crews, cracking under pressure. Canada didn't just lose a factory, it lost the beating heart of its agricultural industrial base, the link connecting farmers to machinery and fields to markets. And the bitter truth now visible to all is that Canada's farm economy had been fracturing long before Deere left. The company's departure was not the beginning of the collapse but the moment it became impossible to ignore, a deep fault line long hidden beneath the surface until the ground finally gave way.